Welcome to JRPG Canon, the ongoing project to document the first slice of a JRPG and talk about why it works and what's fun about these games that we like so much. If you'd like a better intro as to the purpose and idea behind these series, go check out the first 2 episodes on Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, and then come back to this one. I'm Sam Allman, and this week is another of our commissioned episodes, commissioned by friend of the show and many time commissioner El Tantavi, and they would like for us to play Mega Man Legends for the PS1, one of my all-time favorite games. Joining me this week is Bernard.
Hi.
So Bernard, what's your history with Mega Man, either the RPGs or the regular games, if you have any?
So at some point in my life, I have played all the NES Mega Man games. Not as a kid. I don't think I had any Mega Man games as a kid, but I've played them, and they're fun. I like them. I love the aesthetic of the art for the games. The in-game graphics, not so much. Mega Man is an all-time terrible sprite on the NES.
Absolutely.
It's so bad.
And it's bonkers to me that it's so bad, and so many people, when they do what would Master Chief look like if he was an 8-bit? They just copy Mega Man's sprite. So there's so many bad sprites out there because they're just tracing Mega Man, who's really, really bad.
But anyway, I like Mega Man. I played a little of Mega Man X. Didn't click for me, but I want to try it again. I also played... So, I was a Nintendo baby, and I was also a JRPG baby. And if you think about my age, that means that I was an early teenager who only had a GameCube and really wanted to play RPGs, which is a problem. So I have played Mega Man X Command Mission. I do not remember a single thing about it.
Nice. Yeah, it's one of the top 5 RPGs on the GameCube, because there's approximately 5 RPGs on the GameCube.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. I am a little freak, and Mega Man is one of my favorite series of all time, and I have played Mega Man X, and that's it, of the Mega Man games. My first Mega Man game was Mega Man Legends. My second Mega Man game was Mega Man Battle Network. My third Mega Man game was Mega Man Zero. So at least Mega Man Zero is moderately shaped like a Mega Man game. So I have at least played a little bit of regular Mega Man, but most of my Mega Manning is through this game that we'll be talking about today. And I've never gone back to actually complete any of the NES games. I'm a little bit of a Bernard, where I feel like I have to play them in order, even though everyone says that 1 isn't good, and it really only gets really good at Mega Man 3. But I can't just start on Mega Man 3. I have to play 1, and 1's not great. So
1 is fine. 1 is a good video game. It's just overshadowed a bit by the later NES games. I actually prefer the NES games where you can't charge your shot. I don't know why, but I don't like charging a shot in the NES Mega Mans. But one thing I love about Mega Man is that Mega Man can mean so many different things. Like, they've done so many different iterations of the character with that are just completely different, and yet somehow all feel connected. So you can legit be a Mega Man fan without having played any of the actual Mega Man games.
Yeah. Mega Man X whips, though. So the one I have played is a really good one. But I could probably talk about this game all day. So let's do that more formally by kicking off our history section right after this little blurb of music.
Or a clip, as they call it in the business.
So, Mega Man, little pew pew guy who shoots lemons at robots. He has approximately 1 billion games on the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. And like many games in the late 90s, they were looking for how to enter him into the third dimension. The producer of Mega Man at the time was Keiji Inafune, who has worked on every single Mega Man game, but isn't actually the creator of Mega Man. I found out today. I always thought he was, because he's so tied to the brand, and after Mega Man 8 was in charge of it basically until he left Capcom, but he was not actually the creator. It's so weird. The development of everything talks about like Capcom as an entity and Keiji Inafune being the character designer, but it doesn't say like, oh, the idea for Mega Man came from so and so. It's like being overshadowed about who actually did it. So the Bill Finger of Capcom is out there somewhere and is the actual creator of Mega Man. But
yeah, I don't understand that sentence you just said, but I will say that a lot of these game series that started a long time ago, I suspect their creation is a lot more collaborative than we like to think, because we want to see auteurs everywhere. Like we want to say Yuji Naka is the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog when someone else designed the character and someone else designed the levels, and it's not very accurate to say one person created this. So it's probably a similar situation. Probably some higher up at Capcom was just like, I want to make an Astro Boy video game. And they were like, well, we don't have the rights to Astro Boy, sir. So.
Did I say Astro Boy? I meant Rock Man. Do that.
Yes.
Yeah. So Keiji Inafune started out working on the first Mega Man, and his first ever video game design was for Elecman, the boss from the first game. But his most important work is the redesign of Mega Man for Mega Man X and the creation of Zero. Zero was the first video game protagonist he ever got to design, and Zero is badass and looks cool. He then was promoted to producer for the Mega Man series, starting with Mega Man 8 for the PSX. And Mega Man 8 was one of those games that, like, early on the PlayStation, they were like, oh, look, we can do a SNES game with more colors and higher frame rate. And so we're going to do that, and didn't actually do anything with, like, the 3D. And so it was poorly received because they were like, it's Mega Man 8's sequel, not Mega Man 9 that came out forever, but Mega Man in base actually came out on the Super NES using the same like assets and stuff. That's how SNES plus Mega Man 8 was that the Mega Man 8.5 came out on the Super Nintendo using the same stuff. And so he then was like, okay, well, I need to have my Super Mario 64 moment. I need to bring Mega Man into the third dimension. And how should I do it? Let's do it with RPG elements, voice acting, and make it more like a Zelda than like a platformer. And there's almost no bullet helling involved, and it's very unlike Mega Man.
Gotta wonder if this strange direction to make a 3D Mega Man was any inspiration on the similar strange direction to make a 3D Sonic the Hedgehog with Sonic Adventure. Because if you think about it, Sonic Adventure is sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
Very focused on story, lots of voice acting, going around big environments with weird Zelda puzzles and getting power-ups. And
yeah, maybe so. So he was worried that no one was going to like this game because it was so not Mega Man. Like the last time they rebooted Mega Man, they just were like, okay, we're just not going to call them Robot Masters, and it's going to have a little bit darker of a story, but you're still going to fight 8 dudes and then a bad guy. And this bad guy's name is Sigma instead of Dr. Wily. And otherwise, Mega Man X is exactly Mega Man. And this time was so crazy different. He didn't think anyone would like it. So he called the game Rockman Neo, and everyone said, that name sucks. So he changed it to Rockman Nova, which was worse. And everyone said, no, go back. So the Japanese title landed on Rockman Hagane no Bokenshin, which means Rockman Dig Outers Adventure Stories in the Halcyon Days, the Steel Adventurous Spirit, which is a mouthful. Great for Western audiences.
But also probably was the right decision to not translate that directly.
Yes. So the Western audiences kept going with Mega Man Neo, but people still hated that title. They thought it was stupid. Eventually, though, they did land on Mega Man Legends, which is a much better name. And it's weird. I just realized this. It's not in my notes, but there are so many Legend video games that are just no Densetsu in Japanese, and so that's why we end up with the Legend of blah 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 all the time. And this is one of the only ones I know of where the legend isn't a translation of the word Densetsu, but just made up out of nowhere. So the Japanese version of the game came out in December 1997, with the English version coming out in September of 1998 for the PlayStation, which further cements 1998 for the PlayStation as one of the best years in video gaming. So many freaking games came out in 1998 on the PlayStation.
This came out for North American release dates. This came out right before Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, which is insane. They ported this game to the N64, but don't play it. It's bad. This game lives and dies on its art style, which needs the unfiltered blocky pixels of the PlayStation. And so putting that on the smeary mess pixels of the N64 doesn't work very good. I don't like it. It kind of sucks.
Also, as you might expect, the voice acting audio quality is really bad. Kind of in a charming way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I want to listen to it at that quality for the duration of a video game.
Yeah. So when the game came out, it was a hit. So it's received a whole bunch of sequels and spin-offs. So there's a prequel about Tron, a character from the game, and it has a focus on treasure hunting. And that game came with a mini sequel that was Japan exclusive as a bonus disc. It's actually called Rockman Dash Episode 1, and then the actual Mega Man Legends 2 is Rockman Dash 2 Episode 2, which is nuts that this little demo disc basically is technically the second game. But then, of course, there's Mega Man Legends 2, which is way more of a JRPG and also way more of a Zelda, and also a much more playable game. It kind of is this game perfected, and I would have loved to jump straight into that one, but you can't. These games end up with capital L lore, and you can't just start on the second one.
Now, I thoroughly enjoyed my time playing this game for the first time in preparation for this recording, but I'm glad to hear that the sequel improved it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to play in some ways.
So there was a mobile game in 2005. There's also a Taiwanese educational game based on Mega Man Legends. Then for the Java phones, there was a golf game and 3 Surfbot phone games and a slide puzzle where, as you completed the slide puzzles, you'd unlock pictures of Roll, which is weird. But all these spin-offs don't even cover the fact that the Surfbots are a hit and they're the minions of Capcom. They're still the face of Capcom. Surfbots are everywhere in everything Capcom. In Dead Island, you can both dress up as Mega Man and a surf bot.
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising. What did I say? Dead Island? Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, Dead Rising. You can dress up as a surf bot, and they're everywhere. So this game definitely was a hit. Which then sucks because we can see surf bots everywhere, but they canceled Mega Man Legends 3.
Yeah,
so
it was announced for the 3DS in 2010, but then was canceled the next year.
Yeah. So one thing that was going to be cool about it is it was going to be an early access game on the 3DS. So the demo was going to come out like a year before the game was supposed to come out, and they had a dedicated like online hub where they could like talk about the demo, talk about like what they would want to change. The developers would reach out and like figure it out and like decide what Mega Man Legends 3 was going to be about. And they didn't get hardly any signups on the thing and decided to cancel it. And what sucks the most is I found out that they were making a sequel to my favorite PlayStation 2 game the day before they announced that they were canceling it. So I rode high on a Wednesday, and then Thursday I plummeted back down to the ground. But yeah, this first game remains a cult classic. We found out earlier today that it was reviewed really poorly.
Not really poorly, but it got some bad reviews, and most of its reviews were like, it's all right.
Yeah, so one final thing about the development that I couldn't really fit anywhere in my previous thing is that the soundtrack was composed by Makoto Tomozawa, and their sound designers hadn't worked on Mega Man games before, or actually any video games before, because they're the sound team that did Evangelion. So a lot of the sounds for Mega Man Legends are shared between Mega Man Legends and Evangelion, and now I can't unhear it. Every single sound is something from Evangelion, and
that rules.
It's nuts. So anyways, let's dive on in and talk about the section of game that we'll be reviewing today.
I just realized at this time, a lot of video game people, a lot of adults who played video games, and therefore a lot of people who reviewed video games, because the people who review video games are adults, were very concerned about video games being grown up and not being embarrassing kids stuff. And so maybe this opening voiceover put them off the game, because it is so silly, the delivery of it.
In a world covered by endless water, people are forced to eke out.
It's so much.
Yeah. So the game starts with a text crawl over a landscape shot of the sea with clouds above it and a small yellow airship slowly making its way across it. And the crawl is narrated, and like we said, the voice acting is good, but Saturday morning cartoon good. The ship eventually makes its way to a tiny little island sticking out of the ground right as the narration finishes. Then we're welcomed with the title screen, where some cute little Lego dudes, the aforementioned surf bots, are marching around doing silly shit behind the menu. And if you let it run for a while, the antics get even sillier. Like they start chasing each other. One of them turns giant and starts terrorizing the other ones. It's cute. We choose new game, and we're, as we find out in a bit, on that small island from the opening, and we're investigating some ruins. The first cutscene doesn't have subtitles. Some of the cutscenes do. It's kind of random which ones get subtitles or not. and it's not pre-rendered, so it's just they decided not to on some of them. We hear Roll on the radio, and she's helping Mega Man explore the ruins by being a guy in the chair. And she's back on the ship, has like radar and shit to be like, oh, I sense something coming up close, etc., etc. So she gets to be our Navi throughout the game, but much less annoying and an actual character. As Mega Man moves around in this first cutscene, we realize something very, very important about this game. It's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. The animations are motion captured, which is not a thing that really happened a lot at the time. And the art is all very flat shading, and they use like anime pixel art looking textures on it, basically arriving at cell shading before that was really possible. And it holds up surprisingly well in the year of our Lord 2023.
Yeah. If you have it upscaled, it legitimately, in a lot of ways, could pass for a Dreamcast game.
Yeah. And it came out in 1997.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. So Mega Man comes up to this big floating crystal, which is called a refractor. It's the energy source of this world, and it's the money of this game. So he's going to get rich and takes it out of the ruins. But when he does, it awakens the ruins, and now he has to escape, and all the robots have become active. So now we get to move around in 3 dimensions.
Which is fun.
Yeah, this game is almost good to control. It gets a pass because it is the second console style third-person shooter, but it's actually the first one that works like a third-person shooter. The first one they give to Tomb Raider, but Tomb Raider you shoot wherever Laura is facing, not the middle of your camera. And Mega Man Legends you shoot at the middle of your camera, which is the classic third-person shooter control scheme. So this was the first third-person shooter game, and it's a JRPG, which I think is weird but really cool. The problem with this control scheme is that this game came out before the DualShock did, so you don't have analog sticks to do it with. So you can either choose tank controls or strafe controls on the D-pad, and the ones that aren't on your D-pad are mapped to R1 and L1. But the thing that makes it not great is it has a lock-on button that stops you from moving, which makes it basically useless because the game's kind of a bullet hell third-person shooter, and stopping is a bad idea. In Mega Man Legends 2, they changed that so you can move while you're locked on, and the game the game suddenly becomes incredibly fun to play because you can lock on and run and dodge and everything, and it's a lot better. But it's like really, really, really close here. It's like almost good, and you can get used to it after a while to be using your shoulders as your second stick. I use the strafe controls on the D-pad with turning on the shoulders, and it seems to work pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is the first third-person shooter, why is it in the JRPG canon? Well, as you explore the first dungeon completely and ignoring rolls say, that's a dead end, don't go that way, and you go there anyways, you're rewarded with Buster Parts, which are equipable items that affect Mega Man's stats. So it's a 3D action RPG that happens to be a third-person shooter, and it's also a Mega Man game. It is a very unique situation they found themselves in 1998. Or 1997. So with Roll guiding you through the dungeon, you make your way through it. There's basically only one way to go, except for the aforementioned Buster Parts that you can get. There's a quote-unquote puzzle where there's a locked door and you have to shoot the nearby generator to get through it. But the whole thing is basically just a tutorial on how to move around and shoot in 3 dimensions. Eventually you make it to the first boss of the game, who's a giant reaver bot with a huge club for a hand. He's not hard, but the controls are, so I'm close to dying a lot. But once you realize that lock on is useless and you just run around him and shoot towards the middle of your screen, you can take him out pretty easy.
There seems to be some mild auto aim or like homing, I feel like.
Yeah, it's very mild homing that you can boost with Buster Parts later.
I see. Okay, I felt like it was being nice to me a little.
So after you defeat him, Mega Man makes it up to the roof, but the ship is nowhere in sight, and the robot didn't explode, so it comes back online and chases Mega Man out to the roof and is about to smush him, but then Mega Man does the trope where he jumps off of a thing because he knows that his flying machine is just out of sight, and it's cute. Back on the ship, Mega Man and Roll talk about the refractor that they got, and they mention the mother lode. In the crawl earlier, they mentioned that the world is covered in water and humans have lost access to a lot of their pre-flood knowledge, so they rely on adventuring archaeologists called diggers to explore ancient ruins and bring back refractors to help power their machines. But all of the diggers are also looking for the mother lode, which is the most powerful refractor that would have enough energy to power basically everything forever.
Excuse you. It's not called the mother lode. It's called the mother lode. The guy in the opening crawl pronounces it very weird. Like it's two separate words. The mother lode.
Yeah, and Roll does too.
Not just mother lode. It weirded me out.
Mother lode. So yeah, diggers like Mega Man find ruins, raid the ruins, sell the stuff that they find, hoping to stumble upon the big one. As Mega Man and Roll are talking, the Dr. Light of this game, renamed Barrel Casket for some reason, calls on the intercom and informs us that we're going to crash. There's an island nearby called Catalog's Island, and so Roll steers the ship, which is called the Flutter, towards the island and comes in for a crash landing. Everyone is fine, but the Flutter is fucked up. So we get out of the ship to walk around, and we meet the cutest save point in history.
I love this guy.
He's a little monkey named Data, and he's a monkey in a robot diaper, and he just dances constantly, never stops.
He stops when it's loading data from the memory card.
Yes, but otherwise he's just dancing constantly.
And he can also refill your energy and give you advice. You can ask him what to do next. It's so great. And also, I want to make sure I don't forget this, so I'll say it now. At one point, at the very end of this week, you can talk to him, and if you ask him for advice, he'll say, you will need to be able to shoot things at long range. So you did get a Buster part that lets you shoot at long range, right? And you can say yes, and he'll be like, okay, cool. Or you can say no, and he'll be like, oh my God. Well, here, I got this because I figured this would happen. So here you go. And he gives you a Buster part that increases your range.
That's really cool.
And it made me so happy.
Yeah, I will, in a second, I'll explain why I've never ever seen that. But, so Data is apparently a creation of Roll's, but he's almost never referenced by anyone except for Roll in the one thing where she talks about how she created Data. And otherwise, he's just a little enigma that just shows up right before boss rooms and shit. And he's
a gaming abstraction.
He's a gaming abstraction, and he's adorable. So after we save, we're approached by the police of Catalogs, who just want to take Professor Barrel to the mayor's office to fill out some paperwork so we can get our immigration stuff in order. In the meantime, Mega Man is welcome to check out the shopping arcade, but we can't enter the city proper. So for the first time, we're free to explore this little town and meet the townspeople. And this game is this game is a Zelda, but this game is specifically Link's Awakening Zelda. Mega Man Legends 2 is a more traditional regular Zelda, but this one is a Link's Awakening. So you have this town with a bunch of named people that you get to go around and meet and stuff. So the when you get to the shopping arcade, there's a can that you can kick. If you press the shoot button while you're not in a dungeon, instead of shooting, Mega Man will just kick.
Oh my god. I didn't think to try kicking it. I went over and pressed the action button because I wanted to pick it up and put it in the trash.
Good thing you thought about doing that. So if you kick it behind the counter of the baker is like, thank you for keeping our streets clean, throws it away for you and gives you 1,000 zenny, which is a lot of money at this point. So, and you can do this every time you reload the area. So I've always had a fully decked out Mega Man at this point of the game. I bought everything.
Gosh.
I just do it enough times to, you can buy like part pieces basically in the junk shop. You can get all of your stuff. I just kick the can a lot, and it's not easy to get it behind the thing of the bakery. You kind of have to like do it just right, but I've been playing this game since 1997, so it's trivial for me to get like 20,000 zenny and just load myself up.
In my defense, the way I was trying to do it makes more sense.
Absolutely. In the long play that I was using to refresh to write my notes, they obviously remembered that throwing the can away was a thing, and they tried so hard to like make it land on the trash can by kicking it, and didn't remember to kick it behind the bakery thing. But yeah, so you can go in and out of a bunch of stores. I don't remember anything about them because I always just head straight to the junk shop, where the shop owner is there, and she says that her stupid idiot husband has gone off into the ruins despite being a stupid idiot with no combat skills, and so he's probably being harassed by some robots, so she asks us to go and get him. I believe she gives us our digger's license right now.
No, they just referred to Mega Man having that later.
Okay, so
if you try to go to the ruins before, the husband is standing out right outside the door, blocking the door, and if you can talk to him, and he'll say, "Oh, maybe I should go in." Okay,
so yeah, he having the right digger's license to get in the more and more dangerous ruins is a thing that happens. So Mega Man already has one because he was digging in the opening, so he has a basic digger's license, which only lets him into the shack outside, which is where we head out to. It leads us down into the ruins, and as you're exploring, you can hear the junk shop man caterwauling as we search for him. When we find him, he's being held up by 3 literal worms that die in one hit. So we take them out and save him, and he runs back to the junk shop. But if we want to, we can explore the dungeon a little bit more, and we find some cool like buster parts and stuff like that. There are some harder Reaver bots for us to fight.
Yeah, I found those and ran away because I'm not good at this game yet.
Yeah, they're hard, but we also importantly can see a bunch of things that we can't quite access yet, because there's one super dungeon in this game, and this is a little sliver of it. Back at the junk shop lady thanks us for saving her stupid idiot husband, and she gives us a mine parts kit and says that we can have their car outside if we can get it running. The car is kitted out to be a mobile spotter station, the spotter being the guy in the chair for the digger. And they tell us that they used to be diggers as well, but the lady was the digger and the man was the spotter, so he's an extra stupid idiot for going out there alone.
I don't know why he went into the mine, the dungeon, if he's not the dungeoneer.
Yeah, it's very stupid. But we head back to tell Roll that we can have the car, and on the way we can see a airship parked illegally outside, and a policeman is investigating it because there are rumors of pirates in the city. And this is one of the times that they do a distracting NPC placement to get you to go and investigate it, to give you a little bit of pre-lore before the cutscene happens. And they do that frequently throughout the game. Tucked around the corner from the airship are a pair of surf bots who say that they're waiting for Miss Tron to come back so that they can get out of there. We tell Roll about the car, and she's excited. Instead of just being Dr. Light's granddaughter this time around, she's a tech whiz. So she fixes up the car with no problem, and she turns the mine parts kit into a functioning secondary weapon for Mega Man. And the secondary weapons are the other big RPG element of the game. You have to craft them with Roll, and then you can level them up to get make them stronger and have more ammo and stuff like that. Our first one is landmines, which you can leave on the ground and it'll blow up anything that walks over it, which comes in handy in the next 3 boss fights. And then I forget that I have it ever after that. After she gives us the mines, the policeman shows up to give us our immigrant card so that we can enter the city now. But we can't open all of the doors in the city because there have been pirates seen in the city, so they're evacuating parts of the town. Roll is concerned for Professor Barrel, so Mega Man volunteers to go and see him in the city, and so now we can explore most of the city. And it's pretty big and has a bunch of trash cans in it, some of which contain goodies such as Zinni or Buster parts, and the parts for the vacuum sub-weapon, which is stupid as a weapon, but it's a lot easier to gather your refractions with the bad controls, so I tend to have the vacuum on a lot more often than I should. There are also a few scenes about different townspeople. We can see the 3 teen hoodlums, Hayden, Pence, and Olette, talking about them, how they saw a pirate and that they need to go and tell the police about it. We also then meet that pirate named Tron, who is very obviously the pirate everyone was looking for. She's like telling surf bots that they need to go get information, and that piracy is not just about having big ships and guns, and no one thinks to stop her. We eventually make it to the mayor's office, where we find the professor, and he's hanging out with the mayor, who just so happened to be his assistant back when he was actually a professor and not just a digger. And so they're hanging out and catching up. And
he now talks as if he's familiar with this island and everything, even though everyone was like, what is this mysterious island at the very beginning?
What is Cattle Locks? Yeah.
And now he's like, oh, Cattle Locks, my second home.
Yeah. So, Barrel says that the pirates are probably after the legendary treasure that's supposed to be on the island, but no one has ever gotten concrete info on it. He tells us not to worry about him and just to head back and take care of Roll. But on the way back, we see Tron being accosted by a little dog, and she's stuck up a light post.
It's a very little dog.
This is supposed to be our introduction to the morality system in this game. That's right. This game has a morality system.
What?
However, they removed the evil ending of the scene in the US release. So you can talk to the dog and get him to leave Tron alone, or in the Japanese version, you can also kick the dog to earn evil points. So they removed this bit because they don't want you to be able to kick dogs. You can't kick dogs at all in the whole game now. They took that whole concept out for the US.
Can you
US
kick
release.
the dog?
But so in the US release, there's basically the only other time that you can get evil points in any way is there's a pivotal scene comes up in like an hour or so, and if you do the bad ending there, you basically get max evil points, and you can do it accidentally, and so you just become a little shit Mega Man on accident if you do something wrong here in a little bit, because otherwise there's no way to get good and bad points because they took it out, which is weird. Anyways, so Mega Man helps Tron get down, and she is an anime character, so she is in love with him, but also hates him and wants to kill him. So she runs off. We make
just
it back
like my favorite anime, Hey Arnold.
Yes, she's Helga G. Pataki for sure. We make it back to Roll, but right when we're talking with her, we see that pirate ship with the surf bots fly off into the city and start bombing the place. So we jump into action and we run into the city to stop the pirates. As we run back through the town, this time we see that everyone but the junk shop has evacuated, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not scared of shit. We've been through worse. We're still open." The police won't let us into the city because it's dangerous, but Mega Man is a JRPG hero now, so he runs past them anyways to go fight the pirates.
And they're like, no, stop. And they just stand there.
Yes. But also, Mega Man books it. You don't realize how fast he is compared to everyone else until you get to this cutscene and the camera's not moving with him, and he's just... So we arrive at the second boss fight of the game in our first mission boss fight that has a win condition besides just kill them all. This game has a bunch of regular ass bosses, but also has a bunch of mission bosses, and this is our first mission boss. If you are paying close attention, you can figure out which robot has the key, and if you just kill the robot with the key, you can finish the mission super quickly. I've never been able to do that though, so I always just kill all of them. Like, I'll see, oh, the blue one has it, and then I'll go like be attacking the blue one, and right before the blue one dies, he'll throw it to one of the flying ones, which will take it to the yellow one across the map, and wash, rinse, repeat, and I suck.
I wasn't even paying attention to who had the key. I couldn't keep track of it, but I managed to, the second one I killed, the key fell out, and I was like, hey, cool.
Nice. So this boss fight hammers home the fact that lock-on is useless. If you ever stop moving, these bosses do not stop moving, and they do not stop shooting bullets at you. So stopping for any amount of time is a bad idea. So don't use lock-on in this game.
It took me a few reloads to realize, oh, I should not be locking on.
Yeah. After stopping the 3 robots, though, the Surfbots run off to tell Miss Tron that they've failed. She's now in her giant octopus robot, and she tsunderes at Mega Man some more before showing up to fight him. She tells Mega Man that if he agrees to be a servant, she'll let him off the hook so that her brother won't have to know that she lost. And if Mega Man says, no thanks. So we have our next boss fight. This boss fight and the next one that we didn't play, we're stopping after this boss fight, are super important to the game. I had forgotten about the next one. That's why we stopped here. This is where the demo ended as well. So it's a good place to stop. But this boss and the next bosses jump around and blow shit up, including a bunch of the buildings in the south square of the city. So if you're good, you can defeat the boss before it destroys any buildings. But if you suck, she can just like level the entire square. And one of the subquests of the game is rebuilding the town from all of this destruction.
Cool.
So how good you are at this boss fight is very important. And I'm okay at this boss fight. I think I lost 3 buildings this time. So I didn't flatten everything, but it wasn't perfect.
I noticed that it was taking out buildings, and I was like, hope those aren't important.
They are. But it's one of those things where you just have to get a lot of Zenny and pay it off and rebuild it over time. So it's not impossible to come back from. After we defeat her, she swears revenge on Mega Man and flies off in one of her flying machines. And we see Data just chilling nearby, where he warns us about needing long range for the boss fight in the next room. But we're not going to go face that boss fight. We're going to stop here because this is basically the slice of Mega Man Legends. You explore the town, explore the super dungeon, you get new sub-weapons, you fight some bonds, you have some great graphics while you do it. So let's listen to some more Mega Man Legends music, and then we'll talk about our final thoughts on the game based on this early section.
We've been playing Metal Gear Solid for Shortcast, and it was very revolutionary in the way it felt like playing a Hollywood movie, a very weird Hollywood movie, but a Hollywood action movie. I was amazed by how much this feels like playing an anime, playing an anime for little kids, and it's great.
Yeah. And the voice acting is all really good in the way that like animes for kids voice acting is. Like, it feels good, and these people haven't done it again. None of these people are actual anime voice actors, but they nail it. Yeah,
They do so good.
Roll and Tron both sound so familiar, and this is their only anime role.
That's wild, because all the actors totally nail the feel of an anime. Like, a lot of video games from this era, the voice acting just sort of sounds like someone who, if they've acted at all, have not acted for cartoons. That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think some of the other characters are like working actors in the voice acting space, but our main characters are not, which is just wild. Yeah, like scrolling over the Moby games I have open, most people say 2 credits on 1 game or 3 credits on 2 games, which would be Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Legends 2.
Wild.
Yeah, so this game has capital L lore, but is actually just about shooting pirates in one tiny location. It spends so much on setting up the world of endless water, and you spend the entire game in a forest. And it's weird. It goes hard on like weird deep lore, but not like all of the world setting from the opening crawl doesn't really matter at all, actually, in this game. It almost never comes up again that you're on a small island in the middle of the sea. In Mega Man Legends 2, you fly the flutter around the whole world map and you go to a bunch of tiny islands, but this game is like, yeah, you can't see it. It's over on the other side of the skybox, but it's just water. This whole world, we're living in water world. I love the fact that the very first third-person shooter is a JRPG, and that just tickles me pink for some reason. It's what a weird little factoid, because I had thought that like Siphon Filter was first, because Siphon Filter is one of the first third-person shooter games that I can think of, but that one came out 2 years after this, so this one is like the first regular one. There are some third-person shooter asterisk games for the 3DO, but I couldn't find any gameplay of them to see if they were over-the-shoulder Mass Effect-y third-person shooters like this one is.
Yeah, I'm looking up. I'm on the Wikipedia page for third-person shooter right now, trying to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So that our listeners don't have to. But no, I don't think you're particularly wrong.
Yeah. If I'm wrong, it's that second one on the 3DO. When I was looking at that page earlier, the first one, they're like, yeah, but it basically doesn't count. It's more of a space harrier on foot. But then the second one on the 3DO, you're on foot. And
Virtuoso?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm watching Virtuoso now, and it looks like it suck.
Yeah. This is
like it barely counts.
Yeah, this one is at least the first good over the shoulder third person shooter. It might not be the actual first one because 3DO games are under documented, and that's where the other ones were before this, but it's definitely a good game, and I can't promise the 3DO one.
MDK came out before this. Isn't that a third person shooter?
It says third person shooter video games, so let's see.
Yeah, MDK. I'm watching some gameplay, and looks like there's lots of skydiving in it.
Yeah, I see that too.
But also, yes, looks like a third-person shooter.
Yeah, and you're doing strafe walking and stuff, so MDK might count, but it's at least in the first.
Mega Man Legends is a very early one.
Yeah, and it isn't a PC game, and MDK is, so it is on console. Probably
very early console one.
Yeah. So I also think it's super wild that this is what they chose to be the Super Mario 64 of Mega Man, because it kind of isn't like anything Mega Man at all, because the first, like I said, the first remake of Mega Man was basically just Mega Man, but now you can climb walls. And this one doesn't have robot masters, doesn't have the power stealing mechanic, doesn't have choose your own order levels and things like that. Like I could see a like mission based third person shooter Mega Man being what they land on, and that's not that at all. It's a big weird RPG with a super dungeon.
In the early days of 3D, a lot of video game developers just went wild.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah, so I could see a mission-based third person shooter Mega Man game, and I don't think I would enjoy playing it. This game's vibes are so important to it, and it being a weird little place with a bunch of weird little people walking around it is crucial to this game being good. And I highly recommend playing this game if you haven't played it before. If you want to play the whole thing, it's only like 7 hours long, and it's gorgeous the whole way through. You'll get used to its shitty controls pretty soon, as soon as you give up on lock-on. Yeah, it's good. It's hard. It gets much harder by the end of it, but it's still pretty great. But it's not, however, a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. It definitely has some problem spots. The lock-on being useless is a huge one. If someone could mod this game to have twin stick controls, it would probably bump itself up to like a 9 out of 10. But there exists no mods that way. But
yeah, when I was playing this game, I was like, oh, this rules, I should play the whole thing. But then I was like, Capcom has gotta have plans for a Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection, right?
I hope so.
Right? So I might wait for that, because they just put out the Battle Network Legacy Collection recently. So surely next up is Legends.
Yeah. And or have like a Mega Man Gems collection if 2 games or 3 games isn't enough for a legacy collection, and have some of the other weird stuff attached to it. But yeah,
it's Mega Man Soccer.
Yeah. It's the Battle Network collection didn't include any of the Star Force games. So technically this and Star Force are the 2 sub-series of Mega Man that don't have a collection yet. All of the rest of them are supported. So hopefully we get one. I would love it if we did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I desperately want there to be a new one of these, especially because, spoilers for the end of Mega Man Legends 2, it ends on a cliffhanger, and I would love to see what happens next. It's not a cliffhanger like the story didn't get finished. It's like, okay, well, where do we go from here? Sort of cliffhanger, and it's definitely seemed like we would go somewhere, and we never have. But Capcom has said time and time again, because there's a Facebook group that's like 100,000 strong for Mega Man Legends 3 or something like that, and it has way more than 100,000 people in it now, to show like, no, your marketing wasn't good. We didn't know about it when you decided there wasn't enough fan support. You have the fans, make the game. But Capcom has been like, we love how much you love our stuff, but we're never going to make a Mega Man Legends 3. So
I mean, Capcom just has no idea what to do with Mega Man these days, except to put out legacy collections, which, hey, at least they're doing that, and hopefully they continue doing that.
Yeah, and I heard Mega Man 11 was actually fantastic, so maybe we'll get a Mega Man 12 that's pretty good.
Did you really?
Yeah, I've heard that it was good. Was it not good?
I've heard that it suck ass.
Oh, I heard it was good. I don't remember where I heard it was good. I definitely haven't played it myself. But
Looks like it got generally favorable reviews.
Yeah.
Not like great reviews, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I watched a stream of it and I was like, this looks like it suck ass.
Yeah. It's probably better than Mighty Number 9, though.
Probably.
But yeah, this game rules. Anything you want to say about it before we wrap up?
They should make a Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection and then make a third Mega Man Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Because game is good.
What if they announce the Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection and Mega Man Legends 3 is just on it? That'd be some Star Fox 2 shit.
Yes.
Yeah, so that'll do it for this episode. If you'd like to sponsor a JRPG Canon episode, you can do so on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where only $20 will let you tell us what you want us to play. It should be an RPG, but the definition of RPG and how canon it should be is up to you. But I should be able to at least spin it as an entry in the JRPG Canon. We got a sponsored episode for SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. That was a sponsored episode and not a JRPG Canon episode, but I don't think I could spin Battle for Bikini Bottom to be an RPG. So that's the bottom level there. As long as it's more than that and I can make it feel like an RPG, go for it. Besides commissioning an episode, you can also donate monthly to join one of 3 tiers. We have the Gadabout tier, which is everyone who pays $1 or more a month. This gets you access to the Book Club no Kaseki episodes a month before everyone else, and it also lets you vote on our polls to tell us what to play next for the main series. So the Warrior tier is the next level up, and it's for everyone who pays $5 or more a month, where they get everything the Gadabout tier does, but they also get their name shouted out at the end of every episode. So shoutouts to Cerebral Wind, Floris, Kaldron, Freddie Rodriguez, AARon524, Vimk, JFro Prime, and Doho. And then finally, we have the Luminary tier, which is for everyone who loves us so much that they pay us $20 or more a month, where they'll also get a 1-sentence shout out to make me say whatever they want. Shoutouts to El Tantavi, the sponsor of this episode, who wants you to check out critical-distance.com, which is an aggregator for games criticism and journalism. Also, shoutouts to William Taylor, who recommends checking out rpgamer.com, which is a video game review site for people like us, by people like us. And also shoutouts to Carr, who's a dentist, so he's not shouting out a URL, but rather your own mouth, and he wants you to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly the time right before you go to bed. For the JRPG Canon, I've been Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
Go play some games.